Hello, my beautiful creatives, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chrissie B. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining. Welcome to another edition of my soul book. I am an avid reader, and one of my favorite ways to use my soul book is to read a book that is motivational or inspiring or empowering or teaches me something, and I like to take notes out of the book and put them into my soul book. I'm currently reading The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. I'm loving this book. I've only read it for a couple days, but I'm almost halfway through it already. I find that it's got a lot of juicy information on, how to get things done and to how to push through anxiety and fear and anything like that and just get work done. So I would really like to be able to put some of my notes from this book into my soul book, but to do that, because it is my soul book, I want to make the page pretty before I actually start writing. I want something to write on, essentially, basically like a spread that is my spread for the 5-second rule. So what I'm going to do is, let me move this, my lovely little book, put it someplace safe. Let me put something here so my camera doesn't freak out. Using a palette knife, I spread some white gesso out on this page very, very thinly, and I let it completely dry. My reason for doing that is because I want to use watercolors today. And I know that because this is an inexpensive, my soul book is an inexpensive sketchbook, if I were to put the colors right on the page, they would soak into the paper quite a bit more than if I gessoed them first. The gesso kind of causes the watercolors to sit on top of it, and then it kind of does a little bubbling, and I don't know, I just like the effect much better. So I have my 48 palette watercolors out. I also have my stash of Inktense watercolor pencils, which you can't see in here, but trust me, they're in there. So I'll probably be using those as well. I have got myself some watercolor brushes, and I usually only use one size, and I might just use one size again. So I'm gonna use a 12. And I'm just gonna put some music on. I want to just basically decorate this background, and I want to do it in such a way that it is easy for me to write on top of it with any kind of pen. So that's why I really like watercolors for that, because that really facilitates writing on. But I also want to be very careful about what I put on my page, so I don't put anything on there that is going to make it difficult to write, like anything too waxy, anything too sticky, anything too glossy necessarily, although I could put a lot of glossy things on there. I just have to be mindful of what pen I use to write my notes down. So let's get started. so at this point, instead of making it more of a mess, because I know it's a lot of color at the moment, I am going to let this completely dry, and I'm not going to use any heat on it. That is kind of rare for me. I don't usually let things air dry, but since moving into our little trailer and I have a teeny tiny art studio now, I don't really have access to a lot of plugins. So I am just going with the flow with that process of just letting it kind of like dry. My guess is because watercolor has a tendency to dry a little bit lighter than what you see while it's wet. I may come back and add some more color, but I'm gonna let this completely dry. So it might take, I would say, probably about an hour or so. I'll let you know when I'm hot back on and let you know how long that took. Okay, so it has been about an hour. I did dab it a couple of spots, like you might be able to tell that. And then also during that hour, I took it upon myself to create myself a little title for this page, which says Book Notes, The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. And then I went on Google, I just Googled the name of the book and found the cover of the book, so I can cut it out and put it on this page as well. Yeah, but before I do that, I'm going to, let's just tuck that away, and I'm going to finish on my colors. I think some of these over here are kind of nice, and I'm missing something over here. It's kind of mousy. So I'm gonna get my paints going again. Another green. I think I just need to have some more like saturation of color. Now that these colors underneath are dry, for the most part they will not run, which is nice. Because one of the issues I was having on this page is everything, I was blending too much. I started to overplay with my colors, and I lost some of my detail and definition, which makes me a little sad, but I will get some more colors back in there. And what it was is my purple was mixing with my green and making a really good brown. Okay, so while that is drying, because I think I like that now, I think that's probably pretty good. I don't want to make it too dark because it'll make it very difficult to see any of my writing on there. And generally, I'll probably use a black pen for the most part. I did say I was going to use my Inktense pencil, so I'm going to take a quick look and see if there's an Inktense color that kind of floats my boat. The two Inktense colors I chose were Iron Blue and Hooker's Green. So I think those will work really well. The reason I like these is, one, they're very intense in color, and I really like bold and vibrant colors. The other thing I really like about them is that you can really put the marks down exactly where you want them because it is a pencil, which I love that a lot. And I'm going to do the green more on this side. I want to do kind of a border, I think. A green on this side and a blue on this side. And I don't really have a plan, so I'm just going to kind of go with it. Being a little bit careful, knowing that some of my parts of my page are still wet. There's kind of a frame there, at least kind of a bucket, because I don't really have a line across the top. But I am going to, while that is still drying, I'm going to cut out my images, my title and my book cover that I printed out. So while I am waiting for this to dry, I'm going to set this aside. And I have cut out my book title and my book image. Now I'm going to, I've also cut out some shapes from some craft paper. I can even show you what pad that came from. That came from Starshine, Chamel Starshine from American Crafts. And I thought I would just use my Tombow to adhere these down to my backgrounds. For my book title, I'm just going to center the little thing on the decorative paper, like so. And then, but for the book title, I want to kind of offset it a little bit. I'm still not quite jazzed with how it's working, so I don't know if, yeah, I'm going to do it anyways. Okay, so that's what I will do. I always forget which way is up on these things. I don't use them often enough. Hopefully that is enough. I generally want to make sure that I have probably approximately the same width on both sides. I think that's nice. And then I'm going to just set these aside and wait for my background to dry. And then I'll be able to glue these down. I'll probably use the same Tombow permanent adhesive to do that. Okay, so I think even though my page is still pretty wet, the areas where I'm gonna paste these two things down are not. So I'm just gonna go, because I have no patience, I'm going to just get those adhered down. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'm gonna let that continue to dry, but this page is now ready for all of my juicy notes from my read from the 5-second rule. I really like the fact that I have a place in my soul book where I can put this information. So if I ever have to come back to it again, I will know where to look for it. I hope that gives you some ideas on some things you could do in your soul book. If you have any questions, as always, don't forget to comment down below. I'll be happy to help you with whatever I can. And as always, don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe. My little channel could truly appreciate the help. And I appreciate you coming here and watching me. Until next time, bye for now.